My name is Michael Davis. This is my wife, Desiree. We are Claire's parents. Thank you for joining us in this celebration of Claire's life. Thank you all for upholding us and our son, Alexander, in your thoughts and prayers throughout this difficult time. We've never personally experienced the strength that comes from the collective thoughts and prayers of so many souls, and we are deeply humbled. We cannot imagine going through this without all of you who are holding us up. Thank you to Deputy James Englert for not only fulfilling your duty with the utmost bravery, but for following your heart that led you down an empty corridor to find Claire. Thank you, Rod Mahler and Daryl Meredith, who risked your lives by carrying Claire to safety while you were in an unsecured and dangerous area. Thank you to the paramedics of Fire Station number 15 who arrived on scene within minutes and rushed Claire to the hospital. Thank you to the emergency room trauma team at Littleton Adventist Hospital that had Claire in the operating room within minutes of her arrival there. Because of the heroic efforts of these first responders, Claire was in the operating room and having emergency surgery to save her life within less than 30 minutes of being shot. Thank you to all the doctors and nurses and staff at Littleton Adventist Hospital that cared for Claire and our family for 24 hours a day until Claire passed away 8 days later. From the time Claire was shot until the time she passed away, she was in the arms of angels. And we're deeply grateful. Claire was full of life and love. She had a wonderful sense of humor, and she loved to laugh. She laughed with her entire being, and she made other people laugh freely and without reserve. She was childlike, but not childish. She had learned that to love is to live. She had learned to love others and to respect others, to not judge, to accept herself and to accept other people's differences. She had learned that to receive, she had to give. She had learned what it meant to be a friend and to have friends. She was learning to follow her bliss. She was becoming a woman of grace and inner beauty. The world was a better place with her in it. And the world has truly lost a shining light by her passing. Claire was a gift to her mother and me, and although we desperately wanted to hold on to this gift, we are learning to accept the fact that it was time for us to return the gift to the giver. Desiree, Alexander, and I miss her immensely, yet we are deeply committed to keeping the loving and knowing of Claire alive in our hearts and in our day-to-day lives. The uniqueness of this precious soul has touched many people, and her influence and light is ours to keep, and we will not let death take this from us. The young man that shot Claire had a name. His name was Karl Pierson. For reasons most of us, or all of us, will never know, Karl allowed himself to become filled with anger and rage and hatred. That anger, rage, and hatred blinded him. He blindly followed a path that led him to do something that no one should ever do. He took an innocent person's life. He took our daughter's life. Claire's last words are poignant and profound. She said, "Oh my gosh, Karl, what are you doing?" The fact is that Karl was so blinded by his emotions that he didn't know what he was doing. In her most innocent and precious way, Claire tried to shine a light on Karl's darkness. My wife and I forgive Karl Pierson for what he did. Because he didn't know what he was doing. We would ask all of you here and all of you watching to search your hearts and also forgive Karl Pierson. He didn't know what he was doing. Karl is no longer with us, so it's no longer our responsibility to pass judgment. As each of us will do one day, Karl has faced the infinite alone. Unchecked anger and rage can lead to hatred, and unchecked hatred can lead to tragedy, blindness, and a loss of knowing, a loss of humanity. The last thing that Desiree and I would want is to perpetuate this anger and rage and hatred in connection with Claire. Claire would also not want this. As citizens of our community, the state of Colorado, our nation, and the world, we must strive for kindness, compassion, peace, and love to maintain our humanity. We can't allow anger, rage, or hatred to take root now or ever. And as we all move forward with our lives, we would like to ask you to join us and honor Claire by forever showing compassion and forgiveness and using whatever is within your power to reach out to those around you that might need the light of your love to help guide them through the darkness. We can all realize Claire's last words in our own lives by asking ourselves, in those times when we're less than loving, gosh, what am I doing? It would honor us deeply if you would consider this. Death has an attitude that all is lost, yet the truth is otherwise. Desiree and I are working to make this experience serve us by keeping love alive and vital in our lives. The essence of true forgiveness is to repeatedly choose to love consciously and to make love more important than hate, despair, or fear. By expressing love, compassion, and forgiveness in our daily lives, we will honor Claire and keep our hearts focused there. Perhaps as a community, we can consciously choose to raise the bar of our individual standards and create a positive and empowering meaning to this and all of our experiences. This is our heartfelt commitment. Again, thank you all for celebrating Claire's life with us today. And thank you to Mr. Paul Andrews and the staff and the volunteers and vendors of the National Western Stock Show for making this facility available to us today. And thank you especially to our very dear friend Bob Limke and his wife Carol Limke. Thank you.